Welcome back to the deep dive. So, the regular season is officially wrapped up. The final Week 5 results are in, they're cemented, and the high-stakes playoff brackets, they're immediately set.
Yeah, this is really it. This is the moment the whole narrative just shifts, right? You go from, trying to build that winning record to the, frankly, brutal reality of survive and advance.
Absolutely. And we've got three really crucial final matchups here that, well, they didn't just sort out the seeding, they were almost like perfect case studies, strategically speaking.
That's a great way to put it. Case studies for what works, and maybe more importantly, what catastrophically fails when you get to this level of competition.
Exactly. So if you're looking for, I don't know, a single blueprint for how to win this week, Week 5 said, nope, not going to happen.
Yeah, denied you that luxury is right.
Yeah.
So our mission today really is to go way deeper than just the scores on the board. We need to understand the how. We need to understand the why behind these results.
Because they instantly reshape the whole playoff picture.
Instantly. And we're looking at three, incredibly contrasting styles of victory here. First, you've got just overwhelming dominance, right? Powered by this historic individual effort. Second, you have this surgical win, just achieved by calculated efficiency, making every shot count.
Yeah.
And then third, this is the really curious one, the analytically confusing one. You have this case where a team wins the rebounding battle, gets more possessions, but ends up losing by, 21 points? Demoralizing.
A 21-point defeat despite winning the boards. Yeah, that's one we need to unpack.
Definitely. So these three results, they've locked in the semifinal contenders, and they've set up two critical must-watch elimination rematches coming right up on November 14th.
Okay.
So we got to dissect, every statistical nugget we can find from this season wrap-up. We need to figure out who survives the sudden death gauntlet coming up and who gets to, enjoy the luxury of that semifinal bye.
All right, let's dive into that first result then, because wow. It really provided the defining statistical performance of the entire regular season. And it validated the only perfect record in the league.
Yeah, no question.
We are, of course, talking about Raptors 2.0. They cruised, really, to a comprehensive 104-90 victory over Royale. That moves them to an immaculate 5-0 perfect season.
5-0. Incredible consistency.
Meanwhile, Royale, they fall to 0-5, still desperately looking for that first win. The numbers here, they don't just scream dominance, they roar.
They absolutely roar. But, what's fascinating here, the victory wasn't just by the numbers. It was fundamentally because of one guy, one individual who completely controlled the pace, the interior, and crucially, the possession battle.
Yeah, you got to start there. We have to start with the sheer magnitude of D.Will's performance.
We absolutely have to. D.Will, player 24, posted a genuinely monstrous and I'd say highly unique triple-double. Get this, 28 points, 25 rebounds, and 11 assists.
25 rebounds.
Why 25 rebounds? Now, look, we see scoring triple-doubles pretty often, right? Points, assists, rebounds. It happens. But a triple-double driven by that volume of rebounding. 25 boards. That's a statistical unicorn.
It really is. It's just a profound statement of his impact on the game.
And think about the efficiency, too. To achieve that, considering the sheer usage, right? How many times he had to touch the ball, offensively, defensively, to get those numbers?
Yeah.
It's remarkable.
25 rebounds. That's just absolute interior demolition. You rarely, if ever, see that kind of raw commitment to just securing the basketball.
You really don't.
But let's go a bit deeper on the strategic value of those boards. What does that actually mean for the game?
Okay, exactly. Because here's the detail that really connects this massive individual effort to the bigger strategic picture. It's the reason, fundamentally, why the Raptors are 5-0 and Royale is 0-5. It's the distribution of those rebounds.
Okay.
Of those 25 total rebounds, 9 were offensive rebounds. ORBs. 9 of them.
9 offensive boards. Wow.
Yeah. And this isn't just, padded stats. This is radical possession theft. Think about the strategic implications of that for a second.
Okay.
9 times. 9 times. The Raptors took a shot, they missed. And D.Will just goes and gets it back. A fresh possession. Completely resets the shot clock. Forces Royale to play defense all over again after they thought they'd earned a stop.
Right. They got the stop, and then, nope, possession Raptors again.
Exactly. So, in effect, the Raptors got 9 free offensive trips that Royale, technically, had earned the right to end with a defensive stop.
So we're not just talking about, generating 9 extra shots. We're talking about 9 immediate, Probably demoralizing for Royale.
Yeah.
Second chance scoring opportunity.
That's it. Demoralizing is the perfect word. It's a radical, almost punitive limitation on the opponent's ability to, transition or even just successfully run their own offense. They never get the ball back cleanly.
It must feel like you're constantly playing defense.
It creates systemic failure for the opposition. Royale simply could not get enough defensive stops, consecutive stops, to sustain their own attack. Why? Because of that sheer volume of second chances B.A.L.L was creating.
And the overall rebound margin reflects that control too, right? 51-44.
Yeah, the overall margin, 51 total boards for Raptors 2.0 versus Royale's 44. That tells a clear story of control. But B.A.L.L's 9-0 RBs, that's the headline. That's what translates raw activity into genuine strategic victory.
And you see the downstream effect too, right? Like in his turnovers.
Absolutely. Look at this. He achieved this monster stat line, 28, 25, and 11, with just 2 turnovers.
2 turnovers with that much usage.
It's incredible. Think about the volume of passing, the handling required to get 11 assists, plus grabbing 25 boards, many in traffic, and only 2 turnovers. That's just phenomenal ball control and decision-making under pressure.
And what's really crucial, I think, is that this huge effort wasn't just like selfish isolation ball. It wasn't him just trying to do everything himself.
Not at all.
His low turnover rate, that high assist count, it directly fed into the team's overall approach, right? That ball sharing prowess. You see it in the total team assists. A huge 28 assists for Raptors 2.0 compared to Royale's, only 15?
15, yeah. That tells you everything. This team is built on synergy. It's built on distribution. It's not singular heroism, even when one player like B.A.L.L has an absolutely historic night like this.
So they're not just, individually better than Royale, talent-wise maybe. They're fundamentally structured differently. They're structured to maximize efficiency by sharing the basketball.
The synergy is absolutely undeniable, and it illustrates like a perfect inside-out basketball theory in action.
How so?
Well, when you have a player demanding that much defensive attention inside, pulling down 9 offensive boards, forcing defenders to collapse constantly, it just naturally opens up everything else on the perimeter. Defenses have to react to him.
Right, create space for the shooters.
Exactly. And the supporting cast, they responded beautifully. Just balanced, efficient offense all around. Look at Pat Hidalgo, player 5. He was hyper efficient. Added 21 points on just 7 of 11 shooting from the floor.
7 of 11 is really good.
It's fantastic. And that included 5 crucial three-pointers. Hidalgo hitting 5 threes on only 11 total shots. That's a direct result of B.A.L.L sucking defenders into the paint.
Makes sense, drawing gravity.
And Hidalgo wasn't just scoring. 2 steals, a block.
Okay.
He showed his value extends beyond just putting the ball in the hoop. He's contributing defensively, too.
It's like a systemic barrage coming from every angle. It wasn't just those 2 main guys either.
No, not at all. You look at Joseph Kellewang, player 10. He delivered what was practically a triple-double of his own. 15 points, 9 rebounds, 8 assists. And he also sank 5 three-pointers.
Another 5 threes. Wow.
Yeah, so that's a major secondary playmaker right there. Someone who absolutely thrives when the defense is preoccupied with everything happening around B.A.L.L inside.
Okay, so you got B.A.L.L dominating inside, Hidalgo and Kellewang bombing from outside.
And don't forget Brian Gonzalez, player 1. He chipped in a very solid 19 points and 9 rebounds himself. Almost a double-double there, too.
19 and 9 is a strong contribution.
Very strong. And even the bench contribution was potent. Look at Gideon Incarnation. Comes off the bench, hits 6 three-pointers.
6 threes off the bench.
6 threes off the bench, en route to 18 points. So when you combine all those numbers, you control the glass, 51 rebounds to Royale's 44. You have this overwhelming assist advantage, 28 assists against only 13 turnovers for the entire team.
13 turnovers as a team is pretty clean, too.
Very clean, especially given the pace and number of possessions. So yeah, it becomes crystal clear why Raptors 2.0 are undefeated. They control possessions thanks largely to B.A.L.L. They share the ball relentlessly, as shown by the assists. And they have reliable secondary, tertiary, even bench scoring threats that convert those extra chances efficiently.
And their overall shooting percentage.
It was 44.6% on 92 attempts, which isn't like world-beating on its own, but it was entirely buoyed by all those extra possessions B.A.L.L generated. They got more chances, and they converted enough of them thanks to the balanced attack.
Okay, now, even though it was a big loss, a 14-point deficit in the end, we do have to acknowledge Royale's effort. They were kept in it, right? Especially early on. There was some sharp shooting, some gritty individual play.
Oh, for sure. You have to give credit where it's due. Joel San Diego, player 30 for Royale. He was absolutely launching from deep and connecting. drilled 9 of 22 from beyond the arc.
9 threes. That's serious volume.
Serious volume, serious threat. That gets you 27 points right there. That kind of shooting keeps the defense honest, forces them to extend.
And he wasn't the only one putting up numbers for Royale.
No, player 7 also posted a very strong line, 25 points, 14 rebounds, and 5 assists. I mean, statistically, if you just looked at those two guys' lines in isolation, those look like winning individual numbers.
Right. 27 points from one guy, 25, 14, 5 from another. You'd think they'd be closer.
You would,
Yeah.
but they just couldn't overcome the collective force, that possession-controlling machine that the Raptors had going. The fundamental issue for Royale was trying to sustain pressure against a team that just kept getting second chances. 9 extra possessions for the Raptors, remember?
Just wears you down.
Exactly. Despite Danny Martinez, player 10 for Royale, battling hard on the boards himself, he had 12 rebounds, 5 of them offensive, which is impressive, plus 3 steals.
That's a solid effort.
And J.C. Reyes added 13 points on efficient 6 of 9 shooting for them. But the club's overall attack, which actually registered a decent 44.0% field goal shooting as a team, it just couldn't stand up to a team generating so many extra possessions and distributing the ball so effectively. They needed more contributions, more stops strung together.
So the lesson here seems pretty clear then. Dominance. Real dominance isn't just achieved by one guy scoring a lot or even 2 guys. It's about controlling the possessions, controlling the glass, and then using that advantage to create open looks for everyone.
That's the formula Raptors 2.0 executed perfectly. Control possessions, share the wealth.
And the immediate playoff consequence of this, well, overwhelming 5-0 dominance is that Raptors 2.0 gets the ultimate prize, right?
They get the bye straight into the semifinals. That consistency throughout the regular season bought them rest, bought them valuable preparation time. They get to sit back now and watch the winner of the upcoming Jazz versus Grizzlies elimination matchup.
Very nice position to be in.
And that rest is just invaluable at this stage, especially given the high usage nature of players like D.Will. Avoiding that extra elimination game, it means they maintain peak performance capacity for the semifinals. Huge advantage.
Okay, so that's the story of dominance. Now, let's shift gears completely. Because if Raptors 2.0 showed us the power of raw, overwhelming volume and control, our second featured matchup, College versus Mamba, this was a study in something else entirely.
Yeah, pure, calculated, almost surgical efficiency.
Right. This is a much tighter game. College edged out Mamba 67-59 in the end. Not a blowout by any means. It felt more like an execution clinic.
That's a good way to describe it. An execution clinic. College improves to 4-1 with this win, showing phenomenal consistency themselves. Meanwhile, Mamba slips just slightly to 3-2. Still a good record, but a tough loss.
So how did College pull this one out? What was their path?
Well, this game is just a masterclass in making every single shot count. College's path to victory was paved by incredible team shooting percentages. Overall, 54.5% from the field.
54.5%. Wow.
Yeah, and that was on only 44 total attempts. So they weren't just jacking up shots, they were taking good ones and making them. When you break it down further, they were nearly unstoppable inside the arc. They hit 15 of 21 two-point shots.
15 of 21 on twos. That's, what is that, over 70%?
That is 71% shooting on two-pointers. That's an elite conversion rate, just incredibly efficient inside.
Okay, so deadly inside the arc.
Deadly inside. And they paired that offensive polish with, typically tenacious College defense. 5 steals, forced 10 turnovers from Mamba. And critically, unlike the Raptors game we just talked about, College didn't win this by overwhelmingly outpossessing Mamba.
Oh, interesting. What were the rebound numbers?
The rebound numbers were actually really close. Only 20 total rebounds for College versus 22 for Mamba. So Mamba actually had a slight edge on the glass.
So College won despite getting fewer rebounds.
Exactly. They won by simply out-executing Mamba at a vastly superior rate. They made their shots count way more.
Okay, 54.5% shooting is massive, especially in a game decided by only 8 points, 67-59. Their three-point shooting was solid too, right? 39.1%.
Yeah, 9 of 23 from deep. Very respectable, 39.1%. Solid across the board.
But wait a second. Mamba shot 47.7% overall themselves. That's not bad at all.
No, 47.7% is a good shooting night for most teams.
So in a low-scoring, tight game like this, shouldn't 47.7% shooting still be enough to maybe win or at least keep it closer than 8 points? Where did Mamba strategically fall short, besides maybe free throws, which we can get to?
That's a great question, and that's where the analysis has to move beyond just the team percentage and look at the individual efficiency. Mamba's 47.7% was good, yes. But College's individual efficiency was just surgical. They capitalized on pretty much every window Mamba left open.
Okay, break that down. Who stood out for College?
John Jeannis, in particular, he was the absolute model of calculated attack. He chipped in 22 points for College, get this, on an incredible 6 of 8 shooting from the field.
Just get for 22 points.
6 of 8 from the field, including 2 of 3 from three-point range. This is an extremely high point-per-shot ratio. He was just converting with deadly accuracy, didn't waste any opportunities.
And critically, you mentioned free throws earlier. He was perfect at the line, hit all 8 of his attempts.
Perfect. 8 for 8 from the stripe. And that right there, that perfection is the subtle margin of victory in a low-scoring battle like this one. Those 8 free points provided the entire final margin of victory.
Wow, yeah, the game was decided by 8 points.
Exactly, especially when you consider Mamba only hit 9 of their 15 free throws as a team. They left 6 points at the line. Jeannis didn't leave any. He just maximized his high-leverage opportunities, didn't take unnecessary risks.
And he wasn't just scoring, right? He had assists, too.
Right, he chipped in 6 assists as well, which shows he's not just some catch-and-shoot guy. He's a highly effective distributor when the defense inevitably collapses on him because he's shooting so well. Smart player.
That kind of clutch consistency, hitting your free throws, making the right pass.
Yeah.
That's exactly what you need in playoff scenarios.
Absolutely critical. And then you have Arman Brown for College. He was really the main engine of the offense in this game. He dropped 25 points.
Okay, 25 from Brown. How was his efficiency?
Also very good. 10 of 16 from the field overall. And Brown showed remarkable range adaptability. He hit 4 of 6 inside the arc and then 4 of 10 from three-point range.
So he could score efficiently both inside and out.
Precisely. Unlike, say, Hacbang, who we'll talk about later, Brown achieved his high scoring total on very efficient attempts. Just 16 shots for 25 points. That ability to score effectively from multiple ranges makes him incredibly difficult for defenses to scheme against.
Yeah, you can't just play him one way.
Exactly, and even their primary role players delivered with high percentages. Jeffrey Tiqui contributed 14 points on a highly respectable 6 of 9 from the floor.
6 of 9 is solid.
Very solid, including 2 of 5 from 3, and he added 2 steals defensively. So that depth of efficient scoring, Jeannis at 6 for 8, Brown at 10 for 16, Tiqui at 6 for 9, that's what separates College's 54.5% overall field goal percentage from Mamba's still good 47.7%. College had 3 guys scoring efficiently in double digits.
Okay, so it sounds like Mamba wasn't necessarily cold from the field overall. But maybe, similar to what we saw with Royale against the Raptors, they were overly reliant on one spectacular performance that the rest of the team just couldn't efficiently support.
I think that's a fair assessment. Nikko Arias for Mamba was magnificent. Without question. He was the lone star really keeping Mamba in the fight.
What were his numbers?
He led the team with 28 points, and he did it on pretty good shooting, too. 10 of 17 from the field overall.
10 of 17 for 28 is strong.
Very strong. And he sank 6 of 13 from deep. So he was hitting from outside as well. He was brilliant, honestly. Hitting high-difficulty shots, kept them in it, added 6 rebounds, too. A great individual game.
But it wasn't enough. So where were the margins lost for Mamba?
Well, besides the free throws we mentioned, Mamba missing 6, College making almost all of theirs, I think Mamba was hurt by the gap in distribution. College recorded 13 assists as a team. Mamba's assist total wasn't explicitly stated in the source, but it was demonstrably lower, implied by the heavy reliance on Arias' individual shot creation to get those 28 points.
Okay, so less ball movement, more ISO ball from Mamba, maybe.
It seems that way. Mamba really needed consistent secondary scoring to support Arias. Michael Tran, for example, added only 6 points. Their overall offensive threat just felt too centralized around Arias. College's scoring, on the other hand, was simply more distributed and more efficient from top to bottom. And that kind of balance allows them to withstand maybe an off night from one player or survive a great individual performance from the opponent like Arias had.
All right, so let's talk about the immediate playoff reality check here. College, with their commitment to efficiency, their 4-1 record, they get the other crucial bye, right? Straight into the semifinals.
Yep. Just like the Raptors, they bought themselves that week of rest, that week of preparation. It validates that regular season consistency really pays dividends.
Now contrast that with Mamba. Despite a strong 3-2 record overall, this loss plunges them immediately into a do-or-die situation.
Immediately. No rest for them. They are thrown right into an elimination game on November 14th, and they'll be hosting Royale, the 0-5 team that's desperately seeking their first win. So Mamba faces immense pressure right away.
So the pathway forward is clear then.
Yeah.
College gets the bye, they get to rest and watch. And they will be waiting for the winner of that Mamba versus Royale elimination game for their semifinal spot.
That's the bracket. And the tactical imperative for Mamba going into that game against Royale, it has to revolve around solving that secondary scoring issue. They know Arias is a lead. He can probably get his points. But to survive Royale, let alone have a chance against College later, Mamba needs their supporting cast, guys like Tran, Al maybe, to improve their efficiency and consistency dramatically.
They need someone else to reliably get double figures efficiently.
Exactly. And defensively, they need to find a way to contain Royale's sharp perimeter shooters, especially Joel Sandiego, who just showed he can hit 9 threes. If Mamba can't establish that more distributed secondary scoring threat, look, they might still survive against 0 and 5 Royale. Maybe. But College will be waiting in the next round, ready to punish any lack of execution, any lack of efficiency, just like they did in Week 5.
Yeah, the stakes are huge for Mamba. They have to overcome the pressure of a sudden death game right after coming off this tough loss where their stars' great efforts were basically negated by these marginal failures like missed free throws and lack of support.
It's a tough turnaround, mentally and physically. Big test for them.
Okay, now we come to the third game. And this is the one you called analytically confusing, tactically paradoxical.
Yeah, that's the one. This is where the traditional metrics, things like possession control through rebounding, they just seem to break down entirely. It kind of proves that simply generating more opportunities isn't always enough.
Right. We're talking about the Jazz taking down the Grizzlies at home, 81-60, a big win for the Jazz.
A huge win. Jazz improved to 2-3 with that, keeping their playoff hopes alive, while the Grizzlies fell to 1-4. And that score differential, an 81-60 final, a 21-point victory for the Jazz.
Yeah.
That is staggering, especially when you look at the possession stats, specifically the rebounding.
Okay, so what was going on here? What were the contrasting strategies?
Well, this game was fundamentally defined by contrasting philosophies, and ultimately, I think, by the overwhelming power of offensive conversion or lack thereof. The Jazz, on their side, clearly prioritized tempo control and sharing the ball. You see that evidenced by them racking up a tremendous 25 total assists as a team.
25 assists is a lot, shows the ball is moving.
Exactly. That unselfishness usually indicates a team creating high-quality shots. Their inside-out attack seemed potent, but the conversation here really has to start with Noah Hacbang for the Jazz.
Okay, Hacbang, what did he do?
He put up a phenomenal scoring number. 41 points, just led the charge, carried the scoring load.
41 points. Okay, that's a barrage. That's a classic hero's effort. Demands attention. Feels like the complete opposite approach to College's balanced, efficient attack we just discussed.
It is the extreme opposite. And here's where it gets really interesting and, frankly, tactically debatable. Hacbang achieved those 41 points. Wait for it. On 42 field goal attempts.
41 points on 42 shots.
42 shots. He hit 17 of them. And get this, he launched 24 three-pointers. 24 threes. He made 7 of them.
Wow. So 17 for 42 overall, 7 for 24 from 3. That's a lot of shots.
It's an enormous volume of shots. Now, compare this back to John Jeannis for College, who got his 22 points on just 8 shots. See the strategic tension.
Big time. Hacbang provided the scoring volume the Jazz needed for the win, clearly. But yeah, it raises that critical question, especially thinking about long-term playoff success. Is 41 points worth using 42 possessions?
That's the debate, isn't it? That is a high-volume, low-efficiency way to get to 41 points. If you do the math, it's generating only about 0.98 points per possession on his shots. That's not great efficiency.
Less than a point per shot.
Right. So a strategy like that relies heavily on your opponent converting even worse than you are, which, as we're about to see, the Grizzlies obligingly did.
Okay. But still, Jazz won by 21 points. That suggests either the supporting cast around Hacbang had to be picking up the slack pretty efficiently themselves, or the Grizzlies were just historically bad on offense. Or maybe both.
It was definitely a mix of both, I'd say. And the supporting cast for the Jazz really was the crucial safety net for Hacbang's high-volume approach. The efficiency anchor for the Jazz in this game was Mark Mendoza.
Okay, Mendoza, what was his line?
Mendoza provided the necessary balance. He scored 23 points, but did it on a very efficient 9 of 17 shooting. Much better efficiency there.
9 of 17 for 23 is solid.
Very solid. And critically, Mendoza was also a monster on the glass himself, pulling down 15 rebounds. And he acted as a key secondary playmaker with 7 assists. So a near triple-double effort from him, built on efficiency and versatility. It beautifully balanced out Hacbang's volume.
So Mendoza was converting his possessions at a much higher rate.
Much higher. And then you had E.J. Dela Cruz, who was like the literal glue guy, just orchestrating the offense. He finished with 10 assists and 8 rebounds. He made sure the ball kept moving, prevented the offense from completely stagnating, which it could have done with Hacbang taking 42 shots.
So the team structure, those 25 total assists, that kind of saved them from the potential downside of Hacbang's tactical risk, his low efficiency.
I think that's exactly right. The team's commitment to sharing the ball, even with one guy taking that many shots, kept the engine running and got Mendoza and others good looks.
Okay, now let's turn to the Grizzlies, because this is where the paradox really hits. You said the Grizzlies dominated the glass.
They did. They absolutely dominated the glass. The Grizzlies held a 49-46 rebounding advantage over the Jazz, which might sound close, but
the offensive rebounds.
look at the offensive rebounds. Grizzlies grabbed 15 offensive rebounds compared to just 13 for the Jazz, so they won the offensive rebounding battle too.
Okay, so more total rebounds, more offensive rebounds. Theoretically, that should lead to more possessions, more shot attempts, more scoring opportunities, and a much, much tighter scoreline than 81-60.
Theoretically, yes. The effort on the glass from the Grizzlies was immense. It was laudable. And this is exactly why this game is probably the most valuable teaching tool of the entire week.
Who led that rebounding effort for them?
Jerome Tittle was just massive. He tallied 18 points, 19 rebounds, and 6 assists. 19 boards.
18, 19, and 6 is a monster stat line.
Monster line. And Arman Brown also delivered a hard-fought double-double. 8 points, 15 rebounds, and 5 assists. 15 boards from him, too.
So between Tittle and Mansell, that's 34 rebounds right there.
34 rebounds just from those two guys. These individual rebounding numbers are truly elite. They generated extra possessions, second chances that absolutely should have guaranteed a tight game, maybe even a Grizzlies win. They executed the first step of their likely game plan, control the boards absolutely perfectly.
So why the 21-point loss? Where was the critical systemic failure? What completely negated getting 49 rebounds, including 15 offensive boards?
The critical failure, and it was catastrophic, was offensive conversion. It all comes down to shooting. Despite generating more possessions than their opponent, despite this overwhelming rebounding dominance, securing extra chances constantly, the Grizzlies shot a disastrous, almost unbelievable 31.6% from the field for the game.
31.6%.
31.6% field goal percentage. Let's just repeat that for emphasis. 31.6%. When you shoot that poorly as a team, no amount of offensive rebounding, no number of high individual stat lines from guys like Tittle can overcome it. It's just impossible.
It's like the law of diminishing returns, right? Every extra possession they generated just resulted in another brick.
Pretty much. Another low percentage miss. They often failed to even draw a foul on those extra possessions or effectively reset their offense. It just became futile effort after futile effort.
That is just devastating from a strategic perspective. It basically means Tittle and Mansell's tremendous work on the glass hauling in those 19 and 15 rebounds was almost completely wasted, because the shot that followed that rebound was nearly guaranteed to miss again.
Precisely. Their effort created the opportunity, but the team couldn't capitalize. They actually limited the Jazz's overall shooting to 45.3% on 75 attempts. That's not fantastic defense, but it's not terrible either. The difference was the Jazz's 25 assists show they created far better, more open looks for themselves when they did shoot.
While the Grizzlies were just missing everything.
Pretty much. Look at some individuals for the Grizzlies. Juwan Rex, for instance, scored 13 points, but he hit just 3 of 13 three-point attempts. Melvin Baja went 1 for 9 from deep. Those kinds of numbers just contribute heavily to that abysmal 31.6% overall team percentage. They simply didn't have enough players converting at even a minimally acceptable rate to validate the incredible effort they put in on the glass.
And we probably shouldn't overlook the Jazz defense in all of this either. They must have done something right to contribute to that poor shooting by the Grizzlies.
Oh, absolutely. The Jazz defense deserves credit too. They successfully neutralized that possession advantage the Grizzlies earned by ensuring the Grizzlies didn't just get more shots, but that they got bad shots, contested shots.
Okay.
The Jazz defense emphasized intensity. They forced 11 turnovers from the Grizzlies, logged 3 steals. They were effective at sort of neutralizing the Grizzlies' possession advantage derived from rebounding by creating their own high-leverage possessions via those turnovers and converting them quickly on the other end.
So turnovers kind of canceled out the rebounding edge?
To an extent. If you win the possession battle partly through generating turnovers and you shoot significantly better than your opponent, that rebounding edge the Grizzlies had becomes statistically much less meaningful, almost meaningless in this case. The Jazz understood, or at least executed as if they understood, that conversion rate is king. Even if one player, like Hacbang, uses extremely high volume to get his points, it can still work. provided the rest of the team remains efficient enough and the opponent shoots historically poorly.
Which the Grizzlies did.
Yeah.
So the immediate consequence of this,
Yeah.
this radical paradox of a game, is that these two teams, defined by these contrasting issues, they have to face off again immediately.
Immediately. In the first elimination game on November 14th, it's a rematch. The stakes are absolutely immense for both teams, obviously, as the loser goes home, season over.
And this rematch becomes tactically fascinating, right?
Yeah.
Because the Grizzlies have this huge, quantifiable flaw they must try to fix.
Urgently fix it. The Jazz, their path is maybe clearer. They need to maintain that ball movement. Hope Mendoza stays efficient to balance out Hacbang's inevitable volume. They probably stick with what worked. The Grizzlies, however, they have to look themselves in the mirror and address that 31.6% field goal percentage head on.
Tittle and Mansell's rebounding effort is just too valuable to waste again.
Way too valuable. So the question is, can they possibly fix that or even significantly improve it in just a few days? If they can convert even closer to 40% of their shots in the rematch. This is an entirely different contest. If they somehow approach 45%, given their rebounding advantage, they might even be favorites.
So it all comes down to shot quality and making shots for the Grizzlies.
Shot quality, shot making, maybe better offensive sets to generate easier looks. It's a huge challenge for them in a short amount of time.
Okay, so we've really established the three key takeaways from Week 5 now. We saw the overwhelming force and systemic ball movement of the undefeated Raptors. We saw the surgical efficiency of College winning with fewer possessions. And we saw this strategic paradox. The Grizzlies' rebounding dominance being completely negated by abysmal shooting against the Jazz.
Yep, three very different paths, three very different stories unfolding.
So now we absolutely have to look ahead. Let's connect the dots to those crucial November 14th matchups. These games will determine who earns the right to face our two waiting teams, Raptors 2.0 and College, in the semifinals.
Okay, yeah, we have two critical elimination games coming right up, essentially high-pressure, sudden-death scenarios for all four teams involved. The first one, and maybe the most tactically intriguing because we just saw them play, is the Jazz versus Grizzlies rematch.
Winner gets the Raptors.
Right. The winner here moves on to face the dominant 5-0 Raptors 2.0. That is a massive prize waiting at the end of this rematch, but also a daunting opponent.
So for the Grizzlies, like you said, the mission couldn't be clearer. They have to watch that game film, except that their rebounding dominance, Tittle and Mansell's heroic efforts, was rendered totally moot by that shooting percentage. Can they possibly fix a 31.6% field goal rate in just a few days? I mean, what adjustment can they realistically make?
It's tough. They absolutely have to focus entirely on shot quality and maybe internal distribution. Tittle, who we know is a fantastic rebounder, but also had 6 assists. Maybe they need to use him more, not just to secure the ball, but perhaps to initiate sets from the high post, create easier looks for Mansell cutting, or for shooters like Rex and Baja spotting up in better positions.
Get the ball moving more before the shot goes up.
Exactly. They must move away from just hoisting contested perimeter shots, especially early in the clock after an offensive rebound. They need to force the issue inside more, try to get higher percentage looks closer to the basket, or at least get to the free throw line more often. Another loss, like the last one, confirms that physical effort alone, the rebounding, is insufficient without the accompanying skill execution, the shooting.
And for the Jazz, what's their key?
For the Jazz, the key is probably consistency and maintaining that balance. They need to ensure that the unselfishness we saw those 25 assists persists. They need Mendoza and others to replicate that efficient shooting. They probably can't afford for Hacbang's volume to completely derail their offense if the Grizzlies somehow find their shooting touch this time around. Because remember, the prize for winning is facing the Raptors, a team that punishes inconsistency ruthlessly. So the winner of this Jazz-Grizzlies game needs to be operating at peak efficiency themselves heading into that semifinal.
Okay, that sets up the first elimination game. Now the second one pits Mamba versus Royale.
Right.
Winner moves on to face College.
Yep. Winner gets the efficient 4-1 College team. And this Mamba Royale game is fascinating in its own way. It's a battle between a talented but perhaps overly centralized Mamba offense against a desperate, winless but potentially a high-volume three-point shooting Royale team.
A real clash of desperation versus expectation, maybe.
Could be. It's definitely a battle of redemption for Mamba after their loss and a potential huge upset for Royale. Look, Royale is 0-5. They literally have nothing to lose at this point. But as we saw, they have shown flashes of dangerous high-volume three-point scoring driven heavily by Joel Sandiego hitting those 9 threes.
Right. So the question for Royale is, can that sharp shooting finally translate into their first win of the season when the stakes are the absolute highest?
That's the question. They need to sustain their offense, obviously, but they also have to find some kind of answer for Mamba's primary scoring threat, Nikko Arias, defensively. For Royale to actually pull off the upset, they probably need another night of high-volume three-point makes, which
Yeah.
inherently relies a bit on fluctuation, on hot shooting luck maybe, and they desperately need more than the 15 assists they got against the Raptors. They need some semblance of better team distribution, better ball movement.
And Mamba, sitting there at 3-2, they have the pressure, right? They're the higher seed. They're playing at home. They absolutely cannot take Royale lightly, despite that 0-5 record, especially given Royale's proven ability to hit those threes in bunches, which can erase deficits really quickly.
No complacency allowed for Mamba. Absolutely none. They have to leverage Nikko Arias' scoring brilliance again. We saw he's capable of putting up 28 points efficiently. But they cannot afford that same lack of a secondary threat that cost them against College. They need better, more efficient contributions from players like Michael Tran. Maybe Alan Zabala needs to step up. Someone else has to score reliably.
And defensively for Mamba.
Defensively, Mamba has got to prioritize contesting the perimeter aggressively. They have to contain Royale's primary threats, specifically San Diego. If they let San Diego get hot again and go, 9 for 22 from 3, Royale can absolutely shoot their way to a surprise victory in an elimination game.
And the winner of this game, Mamba or Royale, gets College.
Gets College. A team that just showed us a highly disciplined, highly efficient offense that minimizes turnovers and maximizes high-percentage shots. Frankly, both Mamba and Royale have shown some pretty glaring flaws. Mamba's reliance on one scorer, Royale's overall inconsistency and defense flaws that College will likely exploit mercilessly if either of them reach the semifinals.
So those buys, earned by College at 4-1 and Raptors 2.0 at 5-0, they really hammer home the immediate tangible value of that regular season consistency, don't they?
Oh, absolutely. They avoided these sudden death scenarios purely by securing those top records. They validated their strategic choices throughout the season, the Raptors through that overwhelming dominance, College through that surgical efficiency.
And now they get rewarded.
The buys are the ultimate reward for execution. They bought themselves time to rest, time to heal any bumps and bruises, and importantly, time to scout these elimination games. That gives them a significant psychological and physical advantage heading into the semifinals. Think about it. Consistency in the regular season means College and Raptors 2.0 only need to win one more game to reach the finals. Their opponents, whoever they are, will have had to win 2 grueling elimination games back-to-back, starting with these crucial November 14th showdowns. The path to the final is just significantly harder for the 4 teams fighting for survival right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, this has been a truly fascinating wrap-up to the regular season. It's given us some really clear strategic lessons, I think. We saw the sheer power of overwhelming individual effort like B.A.L.L's when it's coupled with real team synergy.
Yep, the Raptors model.
We saw College provide a lesson in the power of surgical efficiency, making every shot count, hitting free throws, playing smart defense.
The efficiency model.
And then we saw that stark paradox of the Jazz versus Grizzlies game, proving maybe definitively that possession volume from rebounding means absolutely nothing if you can't convert those chances efficiently.
The conversion paradox, yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely critical lesson there.
So if you look at the entire landscape now, heading into the playoffs, what feels like the most potent, the most reliable path to victory based on what we just saw in Week 5?
That's a great question. Based purely on these final regular season results, I think the most potent and potentially most sustainable path to victory, the one that signals true dominance, was the one forged by Raptors 2.0.
Even with College's efficiency being so high.
Even with College's impressive efficiency, look, the Raptors' 5-0 record wasn't built on just one hot shooting night or relying solely on one star's volume like maybe the Jazz did. It was built on controlling the glass consistently, 51 rebounds in that last game, fueled by B.A.L.L's incredible 9 offensive boards and sharing the ball effectively for 28 assists. That blend of physical control over possessions and unselfish execution, that feels like what separates the truly dominant teams from the contenders. It's a more holistic approach to winning, I think, that gives them a definitive edge heading into the semifinals. Especially since their potential first opponent, either Jazz or Grizzlies, is currently struggling with some severe offensive conversion issues.
That makes sense. That combination of overwhelming the opponent physically and executing smartly seems hard to beat.
Very hard to beat consistently.
Okay, so as we head into this elimination round, we should leave you, the listener, with one final, maybe provocative thought to mull over. And let's center it around that bizarre Jazz versus Grizzlies result, because it really is the ultimate test of, I guess, mathematical efficiency in basketball.
All right, let's hear it.
The Grizzlies, remember, secured a 3-rebound advantage overall. They got more offensive rebounds, generated more total possessions than the Jazz, but they shot that dismal 31.6% from the field, leading to that massive 21-point loss, 81-60. So, here's the thought. Given that they generated enough possessions, theoretically, to win, how much better precisely would their shooting percentage have needed to be? If we kept all other statistics exactly equal, their defense, their turnovers, their huge rebounding advantage, what specific field goal percentage would they have needed to hit to mathematically flip that 81-60 loss into, say, an 82-81 win?
Ooh, that's a good one. Calculating that exact threshold percentage.
Right. And what is that precise threshold percentage that required jump in efficiency needed? Maybe it's 38%, maybe it's 42%, whatever the math says. What does that number tell you about the true weight of offensive execution and shot quality compared to simply generating massive rebounding volume?
Yeah, if they only needed, say, a 5% jump versus needing a 15% jump, that tells you very different things about how valuable each extra rebound truly was versus just making an open shot.
Exactly. If they needed, just hypothetically, a 10% jump in shooting percentage to make up that 21-point gap, does that imply that conversion efficiency is maybe 4 or 5 times more critical than raw possession count from rebounds in determining the outcome? The answer to that question, that hypothetical calculation, might just define the Grizzlies' entire survival strategy in their upcoming rematch. And maybe it defines the tactical approach every team needs to consider if they hope to challenge the measured efficiency of college or the overwhelming possession-controlling dominance of Raptors 2.0.
Definitely something to chew on. That efficiency versus volume trade-off is always at the heart of basketball strategy, and that Grizzlies game puts it in stark relief. Fascinating stuff to watch unfold in these playoffs.